we decided we were going to talk about elite quarterbacks. This discussion came up this week.
Yeah.
About elite quarterbacks. So I'm going to let you go ahead. You have the floor.
Well, first of all, let me just explain something to people, okay? And I'm going to sound like a grammar Nazi here, but whatever. The word elite is an exclusionary term, okay? There can only be a small group. If you're taking a group of people and then trying to determine who is elite among that group, it's going to be a small amount of people from that group, okay? You can't have half the group be elite. You can't have, literally, you can't have 40% of the group be elite. I mean, really, you're looking at like 10%, 15, maybe 20, maybe. That's what you're kind of looking at when you're thinking of elite quarterbacks. So in the NFL, there's 32 teams, okay? So, and you can only, I guess you got 32 starting quarterbacks out of that, but some teams, who the starting quarterback is changes throughout the season because they're not a good team and they don't have a good quarterback. But let's just, for the sake of argument, have 32, okay? As far as I can tell, if you're going to have elite quarterbacks out of 32, there's going to be like 6, 7, because after that, you get to a point where you look at quarterbacks and you just see limitations and you have questions. Not that once you get past the 6th or 7th best quarterback, they suck. No, there's still a few in there that are pretty good, but you have questions about them. Then once you kind of get beyond that group, then you start getting into, okay, either this guy's young and we don't know yet, or we kind of know and they just kind of suck. All right, so let me just start off with who I think are the elite quarterbacks in the NFL. And these are not in any order because I think that gets into splitting hairs. Okay. And I can do this pretty quickly because basically these quarterbacks I don't really have questions about, and if I need to defend them, I can. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. We'll put Stafford in there because he just won the Super Bowl and he was really good throughout the playoffs. He's got the talent, and obviously he got into a good situation and then won the Super Bowl, so he's pretty damn good. Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to put Brady there. Hang on a sec. Susie, stop. Sorry, dog making noise. Okay, so I got Mahomes, Allen, Josh Allen, Rodgers, Brady, Stafford. The only thing I'll say about Brady is that he's older now, and I do have kind of some questions about him beating good teams, but he had a really good year last year. Okay?
Right.
And he's obviously been in a bunch of close games and, all that stuff. We don't need to get into it. So I think that's 5, right? Mahomes, Josh Allen, Stafford, Brady, Rodgers. Rodgers, he's getting older, but he's still incredibly talented and just won 2 MVPs in a row. So,
right. So if we said 8 elite quarterbacks, that's 25% of the league. Is that
okay? Yeah. Well, let's see. So I got 5. I'm trying to think who else I probably have there.
What about Russell Wilson?
Okay, here's what I'm gonna do with Russell Wilson. I'm gonna put him in the next tier, but that could change immediately. That could literally change within 2 weeks. I think he had some injuries last year. He was in a bad situation. Let me just see him kind of get back to him. He probably will, but let me just see him get back to himself. So I'm trying to think beyond that.
What about, we're not going to put Deshaun Watson on there yet, right? Because we got to see him come back and play.
He's been out for over a year. I'm trying to think of who else. I'm not putting.
So
Dak Go ahead.
Right. The only other, the choices that I see, basically, then we're in Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow territory.
Oh, that's right. That's what I was trying to think of. Okay. I'm going to put Burrow in there.
Okay.
So that's 6. And then I'm going to put Russell Wilson and Justin Herbert right after that. Because Herbert, he hasn't made the playoffs yet. Now, some of that's not really his fault. His idiot coach keeps going for it on 4th down. I think Herbert's incredible, and he's probably going to get in there. But I'll put Burrow in there just because he just got to the Super Bowl with that team. Mm-hmm. So nearly won the game. I still have some questions about it, but I'll put him in there. So I guess I've got what was that, 6? It's like Brady, Rodgers, Mahomes, Josh Allen.
That's 6.
Stafford, and Burrow.
You're going to put Burrow? Yeah, right. You
6.
put Burrow in the 6. Okay.
Yeah, and then I'm saying I'll put Herbert and Russell Wilson right after that. And then after that, I get into – because those guys, they're like right on the bubble. And then after that, I get to guys where I'm like, you're not an elite quarterback. You're a tier below that. You're pretty good. You're reliable up to a point. But I don't necessarily think you can beat good teams, and I don't really think I can rely on you to win multiple games in the playoffs. Like
if you just do, you're saying Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson. If you put them all in that next category and you say they've got a chance to be up there, that's 8.
Okay.
So that's your 8 elite quarterbacks. You're basically saying there's 6, including Deshaun would be 9. So you're basically saying there's 6, and then there's 3 more that could get in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And you're obviously not going to put Lamar Jackson at the.
I'm not Lamar. I've got to see more, and he's kind of declined a little bit each year. So I got to see more. Dak Prescott. Look, he's a good leader. He has good intangibles. He's kind of consistent for what he does. I mean, he basically gives you the same thing every game, but. I don't really think I can rely on him to beat good teams, particularly in the playoffs. I mean, everyone last year was focusing on him trying to do that quarterback sneak on the last play of the game, and he played like crap most of the game. Offensively, they didn't do anything, so I can't, Kirk Cousins, he's won a playoff game, but, he doesn't make the playoffs all the time. Tannehill, look, I like Tannehill. I mean, if this version of Tannehill was on the Dolphins now, I'd be like, all right, I'm cool with that. I'll roll with this for a few years. But, I mean, look, if he's playing against better teams, can you rely on him a lot to throw the ball? But he's been pretty consistent the last few years. They've made the playoffs. Like, that's something, But it's like Dak Prescott, It's like if we could get something better, okay. But if he's the guy on your team, all right, You're kind of there's some consistency there, and then
so then I had is my elite category. I had those 9 that we talked about, and then I had a question mark next to Lamar Jackson. So basically, I'm in line with you, and I agree with you on what you said. Now, if you ask me, I'm in on Russell Wilson. I think he's going to be good. I said, I'm probably going to flip that like right away. It's just he had some injuries. He was in a bad situation. Let me just see him flip it around, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, you're in. Yeah, and I believe, I think we got to wait on Deshaun Watson, but I believe in him. I think he's going to be in that category. So then the next category I did after the elite with those 10, well, obviously I'm not including Lamar, but then I put interchangeable. So these are the guys who they can win you games. Like a bunch of them have won playoff games. But you're not putting them in that class where you're thinking we have a chance to win the Super Bowl this year just by having this guy as our quarterback.
Yeah.
So interchangeable list. So Ryan Tannehill, Matt Ryan, Derek Carr, Dak Prescott, Carson Wentz, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Jimmy Garoppolo. I put them because you could take any one of those guys you want. You're going to get basically the same from any one of those that you pick.
Yeah, and now, then if the roster around them, depending on how that is, there'd be fluctuations in how the team does. But right.
Exactly. I mean, I tend to like Derek Carr and Matt Ryan a little bit better than the those other guys, but it's not like
right.
But I'm not going.
Yeah, Derek Carr. I do wonder because Josh McDaniels is a good offensive coach, and I think he's good with quarterbacks, and I think that is going to add something to Derek Carr. Does he get out of that next tier after that? I don't know. I mean, he's got Devontae Adams, so then, we'll see. I really like him, I mean, I think that he's been, like Colin Cowherd keeps pointing out that Derek Carr keeps winning games, even though there's all this chaos with the Raiders, which, so... But yeah, I still kind of got him in the next tier, like you. I like.
Yeah, I mean, in like you said, Colin Cowherd saying he's a top 10 quarterback, and I mean, I think he's right. I think
maybe I'll be there because I think McDaniels is going to add something this year. Is going to help make it better, but
he's right there. He's right there. If he's not 10th, if you don't have him above Lamar Jackson, then he's 11th. But he's right there. So, yeah. So that's like, all of those guys, like you're basically getting the same thing. Like I've been making the argument the Dolphins should try to get Jimmy Garoppolo because, he's solid. And I think you know what you're going to get from him. So the next list I made I called it, We're Waiting. So these are the guys who teams are rolling with this guy, but we don't have any evidence to suggest that they're going to get up to that elite category yet. Maybe they will, right? But we don't know. I wasn't going to put them in the interchangeable list because to me they haven't achieved the status to where it's like, okay, I know what I'm getting. I'm going to get this. It's going to be solid. These guys could either jump up over the top of the interchangeable guys into the elite category, or they could fall into the next category, which is moving on.
Yeah.
So, all right. So this is what I got for We're Waiting. Now, some of these you may have your own personal opinion on, but to me, we don't know that they're great. We don't know that they're terrible. Mac Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Davis Mills, Jalen Hurts, Daniel Jones, Tua Tagovailoa, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Kyler Murray, Trey Lance.
I think I basically agree with you on all of those things, but I think I'm leaning more toward the Daniel Jones is let's move on.
Right. If you were asking me,
that's the only one I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, that one I struggled with. That was the probably guy you could probably move over. If you're asking my opinion, I think we can take Mac Jones off this list right now. Davis Mills, whatever. I just did this because these guys haven't played enough to where we don't know. Obviously, I think the best out of this list is Kyler. Kyler Murray's the guy who has a chance. He's the one guy who has a chance to get into the elite category.
He's got to stop tailing off at the end of the year. So
right, but I just put We're Waiting because we still don't know, and Arizona still doesn't know. They still haven't given him a contract.
Right, exactly.
So they're still struggling with it. I think the Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson and Justin Fields, like they just haven't played enough. We just don't know. Their teams have all been pretty bad.
Yeah, Zach Wilson. We've seen he started 1 year, so it's too soon to say. And Trevor Lawrence. It's just. He needs some stability, and I think with Doug Peterson, that should be there at least for the next few years. So in another couple years, we'll know with Trevor Lawrence what the potential is.
Right. I think if you were going to nail this down to guys that like, okay, this is it, this is your last chance, like you got to make it happen this year. I think it's Daniel Jones, obviously, Tua, Kyler, probably.
Yeah,
but the rest of them I think all have time. I don't think there's anybody that's like, oh, we gotta, Trey Lance is in a tough situation because the team is trying to win while they're trying to develop their quarterback, which is a challenging thing to do in the NFL. It's not an easy thing to do. And then, obviously, moving on, obviously we all know who these quarterbacks are. These are the guys who happen to have jobs somehow. So it's Jameis Winston, Mitch Trubisky, Marcus Mariota, Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, Baker Mayfield, Teddy Bridgewater, and then I put Nick Foles, Andy Dalton, Geno Smith. So I put a bunch of guys that are backups. A handful of those guys are backups. So obviously the league knows that, but I put them down because it's possible they could play some games this year in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's just crazy that we know that about Nick Foles, yet isn't there a statue of him outside of the Eagles Stadium? I just tip of the cap to you, Nick Foles, because you literally just you've tried to be a quarterback all your life. It hasn't really worked out, but for like a month, you were just like, it was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it was really 2 seasons because he had the Super Bowl run, and then the next year, remember they won that playoff game against the Bears.
That's right. Yeah.
And then they ended up losing to the Saints, but he was. So it looks like Nick Foles is going to end up on the Colts. That's what according to NFL.com. So anyway, and I don't know. There's not a whole lot to say about this. Jameis Winston, it's like. you had your chance. I think New Orleans keeps him from being an interception machine. Mitch Trubisky is getting like a legit shot in Pittsburgh, so we'll see. I mean, to me, it's kind of like, yeah, I know what that is. That guy's a definition of a bridge quarterback, but you know, I think, but Pittsburgh
paying him anything. Yeah.
Well, and Pittsburgh drafted a quarterback, so they obviously you see they don't think that highly of him. You know, I got Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield on this list because it's like, you know, they're basically the same guy now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Link them together, you know, and then there's not a whole lot to say. Those are the guys that it's like, yeah, we know, you know, we've decided, we've all made up our minds on those guys.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a good. I think we kind of seeing stuff the same way. Yeah, you know.
So
I think if I wanted to put like say I was going to do like a super elite category, then it would be like Mahomes, Josh Allen, and like, ooh, God, that gets tough. And then I would put Stafford there. And I know people are like, well, how can you not put Aaron Rodgers or Brady there? Well, they're older. I have a little bit of question about Brady beating good teams at this stage in his career. Those four dudes, I'm just like, if I got to go win a game, I feel really good about it. You know, particularly Josh Allen, because I think the Bills are going to the Super Bowl this year. But you know,